allô? Le coq de l'école, le coq de l'école, allô, allô? Le coq de l'école, le coq de l'école, allô, allô?
What's up, everybody? This is a spoiler review. So that means if you don't want anything to be spoiled, you gotta leave right now. Get up out of here. Because when you're dealing with the TV show that's brand new and there's 13 episodes, there's really no way that you can do a review without spoiling it. That's 13 hours. That's ridiculous. So I will start off by saying that I can't wait for Ant-Man by Marvel, and I can't wait for Shazam by DC. Because if you thought Batman vs. Superman looked dark on the trailer, if you thought that the Avengers Age of Ultron looked dark, and if you think that the new Fantastic Four movie looks dark, or you think that the Captain America Civil War is going to be dark, trust me when I tell you, nothing is darker than Daredevil. I mean, it's gritty, it's grimy, and I think they get away with a lot of stuff that you just wouldn't be able to get away with on a regular TV show. And to be honest with you, even for a movie, like, man, Daredevil is violent. But the one thing about Daredevil that y'all will really enjoy if you haven't watched it, but I'm assuming that if you're willing to watch a spoiler review, that you have watched it. The one thing about it is that it's very realistic. Let's get into the actors. There's three actors I want to talk about. I want to talk about Charlie Cox, because he plays Daredevil. I had never really heard of him or seen him before this, and he really impressed me. I also want to talk about Vincent D'Onofrio, because I think that he was the best part of the show. In reality, I think he surpassed Daredevil. He was more interesting than Daredevil. And that could be a problem going into next year. So I'm going to get into that. And then finally, I want to recognize an older veteran black actor, because a lot of times there isn't a lot of diversity in some of these comic book movies, especially African American that is older and distinguished that can really act. And his name is Vondie Curtis Hall. And he did an excellent job playing the role of a news reporter. But I'm going to tell you more about him. But let's start with D'Onofrio. And that's crazy that you would start a superhero movie talking about the villain. But when I tell y'all that he was the best part of this show, I'm not exaggerating at all. You've never seen a villain basically kind of given a reason as to why he was a villain. You've never really seen a villain really have a human side. Okay, so Daredevil was real big on flashbacks, so they would go back into flashbacks to show a lot of the origins of how a lot of stuff came about. And one of the flashbacks with what is his name? Oh, y'all making me forget his criminal name on there. So I'm gonna just call him Kingpin, because they never call him Kingpin throughout the whole Daredevil series. But his name is escaping me right now. But they show him as a little boy, and he was getting bullied. And so his father pulls the dude to the side that was bullying him, says, "This the one that was bullying you?" And he said, "Yeah." He was trying to get him to apologize. He wouldn't apologize. So his daddy start kicking the crap out of this dude right in front of him, and then he makes Kingpin kick the man too. You know, he just forces him to, kind of teaching him this is how you got to stand up to people. You can't let anybody run over you, and that's basically something that stays with him. But what's even worse is that he's at home and he gets to beating on his mother right in front of him, and he's just kicking the crap out of his mother, and he just takes a hammer when his dad isn't expecting it and just rocks him across the head with the hammer. And I don't think his dad was all the way dead yet, but he kind of had a flashback of how he was being taught to kick the bully while his dad sat there and watched, and he just smashed, bam, bam. He's just rocking his own dad with the hammer until there's like just blood all over the place. And then his mom chops the body up. And this kid was like 10 years old when he saw this. So it kind of shows you that he comes from a real dark place in terms of anger and rage. And what makes him kind of cool is that as cold-hearted as he is, he falls in love with a woman. And he's kind of awkward. You know, he kind of talks like this, and he's not quite sure how to approach someone. You know, so she works at an art gallery, and you know, he asks her out, and she accepts his invitation. But it wasn't the first time. I think she turned him down the first time, and then eventually she got with him. Now, since Kingpin is exactly that, a Kingpin, he's a boss in the crime world. He has a lot of people that works for him, and he has like these Russians that work for him. And the Russian dude comes in and interrupts him while he's trying to win the affections of this young lady that he's fallen in love with at dinner, and starts talking about some street stuff, some business stuff. So Kingpin's people just get him out of the restaurant, and you know, the young lady was offended by it. But then later on, he has this assistant, and assistant says, Mr. So and so. Throughout the thing, they say we don't say his name, and they say he would like to see you. So they pick him up, take him to him, and the first thing the Kingpin does, it says, "You embarrassed me in front of her," and starts choking him, and bam, bam, hitting him and stuff, right? Then he takes him to a SUV, opens the door to the SUV, puts his head in the SUV, and just bam, wham, wham, wham. Dude, it is so nasty. It looked like some Mortal Kombat type stuff. Eventually, you see blood is jumping up to the window of the door of the SUV, and then his head falls off. Like they don't show it, but you can kind of hear it and kind of see. So he slammed the door on him so many times that his head fell off. So that's what you're dealing with in terms of Kingpin. He was no joke. He was no joke. Now, Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. The reason why I'm kind of in this getup to represent for him is because this is how he was dressed throughout the entire season. He just, it almost looked like a black do-rag covering his eyes, some black, they used to call them hit 'em gloves, punch people with, and just a black outfit. That's all he had on, you know, but he has an incredible sense of hearing. He has an incredible sense of basically being able to sense things. So he can tell when somebody's lying by their heart rate increasing. And for whatever reason, I don't really know how he does it, but when he fights, he just beats the brakes off of people without being able to see. But like I said, one thing that you will really like about Daredevil, or for all my people who did watch it, that you like, is Daredevil kind of gets the crap kicked out of himself a lot. So I mean, he's just getting hit, he's getting punched, he gets stabbed one time, and he's holding his side and bleeding. Like he really, really gets rocked and just all the way effed up frequently. So that's another thing about the Daredevil series that makes it kind of endearing and interesting, is that he really, it almost reminds you of the movie Kick Ass, you know, of just when Aaron Taylor Johnson just put on a suit and decided he was gonna go fight crime. You know what I'm saying? He got whooped, you know, because he's not a superhero. And that's what this series kind of brings out a little bit. He has a guy called Stick, because he just walks with a stick. He's an older guy, and he actually trained Matt Murdock when he was very young after his father got killed. And that's kind of where he learns all his skills from. So now that you got that, let me give a salute and some respect, like I said, to a great African American actor, Vondie Curtis Hall. He plays a news reporter who's trying to figure out if he can still fit in with the new world, being that all the reporters are going to the internet and everybody has blogs right now instead of writing for newspapers. And his whole thing is exposing Kingpin and exposing organized crime. And that's something that he's taking pride in, and he kind of does that throughout the movie. I'm throughout the series. He's a real good actor. He was in the Don King movie called Only in America. He also played in a real powerful movie called Drop Squad. So um, definitely look him up. I might even put his bio in the links for the description of this, because he just did a really good job. Um, I guess the only thing about the Daredevil series that I don't like, and I know a lot of y'all are gonna get mad at me for saying this, but his main partner, you know, because obviously Daredevil is a lawyer, and they do a good job of showing him actually going through cases and studying and getting prepared for cases. But he has a partner named Foggy, and Foggy is irritating. You know, a lot of people like him, but even when he's happy and joking around, he just seems whiny. And then when it's finally revealed to Foggy, when he finds out that his friend, who he's a lawyer with, is actually Daredevil, he gets very upset with him, and he's even more whiny. So, you know, I know a lot of people like him, and they probably look at him as the comic relief of the series, but he just didn't do it for me. He just seemed real whiny, like I said. And you know, I'm a grown man, and if I deal with anybody else that's a grown man, I just expected you to carry yourself like that and just not be whining all the time. So overall, I would highly recommend that you get into Daredevil. I only think it's gonna be better. Um, they started dropping some Easter eggs about people that will appear in season two. I guess the ratings, however they figure out the ratings on Netflix, were so good that they've already signed on for season two. And so one of the people that would definitely be in season two is Elektra. And they never said her name, but they said, "Hey, remember that hot Greek chick that we went to college with?" So they give her that. And there also might be a Easter egg for the character Bullseye. And if you remember Bullseye, it was a terrible representation of him in that movie with Ben Affleck, Daredevil. But everything about Daredevil with Ben Affleck was very bad. We glad that you about to redeem yourself with Batman versus Superman, Ben. Well, I can't really think of anything else to say about Daredevil except that the acting is excellent. The fight scenes seem very real. The only thing that I can tell you that I think that they're gonna need to improve for next year is that they gotta scale the Kingpin down a little bit, because, like I told you, he absolutely stole the show from the lead character, and he was more interesting than Daredevil was. And you never want to have a situation where your villain is more intriguing and just packs more punch emotionally on the screen than your hero. This has been your boy Track Lacer. This has been, I think, volume number 15 of Track Lacer's Opinion.